I want to talk about Phil Salt. I was going to wait until England batted, but we may as well do it now. I don't know if you saw it, Jarrod, but there's a really good piece with Matt Roller on Cricinfo, and there's a lot to take away from it. Firstly, Phil Salt, who was given I'm not sure if he was given a special cap. I know before the game there was a huddle, and I think Luke Wood, his Lancashire teammate, spoke a few words, but essentially he's reached T20 cap number 50. And there's a really good piece with Matt Roller, and essentially one of the points that he makes is that in England we don't take T20 as seriously as possibly we should, and certainly as seriously as he does. You know, when you look at his record over the last couple of years, he's going at a strike rate of about 170. He's won IPLs now. He's phenomenal at the top of the order. But what I didn't know about Phil Salt was just how, detailed he looks at the opposition, the stats, his game, the bowlers he's about to face. He really goes to town on it, and why not? Would you agree with the first point he makes, that possibly we see it as a bit of hit and giggle in this country and we put all the emphasis on the longer formats? Is that different around the world?
I mean, that's been the case in most countries, right? It takes a while. Someone was asking me the other day whether the players take the T20 World Cup as seriously as the ODI World Cup, and I was like, no, because a lot of them grew up when there was no T20 World Cup. Like if you saw Rohit and Virat, they're really happy to win it, but they're both sticking around to try and win a 50 over one because that's one they grew up with. And so it takes a while for cricket to sort of catch up with that. I remember interviewing Ricky Ponting years ago and saying, why did you take ODI cricket seriously? Because no one before you did. And he goes, I didn't know that it wasn't serious. I just thought it was real. And so the generation that's coming up now are taking T20 cricket very seriously. But that one, even 4 or 5 years older than them, is still like, we'll play it because we get paid money. So I think in that case, you have a very different mindsets of certain players based on their age and everything else. There aren't that many sort of Harry Gurney type players who are like, do you know what, I can make more money off this, so I'm actually going to take it seriously. A lot of other guys still see it as the add-on thing, right?
Yeah, I think the add-on thing is, you're right. I think the Phil Salt one, the Phil Salt one is when you talk players, and players talk about their sort of, and coaches talk about not trying to sort of strengthen your weakness, just strengthen your strength even more. I think Phil Salt knows that he ain't going to be a test cricketer. I think Phil Salt knows that possibly the 50 over format of the game, that ship sailed, and he probably hasn't got the technique in the first power play, 10 overs, 15 overs. And he's had his chance in 50 over cricket. And I just think now he's like, right, all eggs in one basket. I'm going to be the best T20 player I possibly can. And he is dominating that format. One of the very best in the world for me now. And you look at England stats, he's got 400s in T20 cricket. I think England have only got 7. So, he is a big player for England in that T20 format. Yes, the World Cup's only come around, like Manna said, every 2 years. And if you're talking about whether...
Well, it's not just that. Manus is in a commentary box. He's just pointing out that one of the reasons it's not quite as big as the 50 over World Cup is because there's one every 2 years. And actually it's worse than that, isn't it? Because if you look back at the last, 2025, if you look back at the last 10 years, and COVID played a little part of this, but there was a 4-year gap between the 2016 T20 World Cup and the 2020 World Cup, and then there was 3.
It was 2021 in the end because of COVID. So
and then there was one in 2020. So that's right. So there's actually a 6-year gap. Then there was one in 2021. Excuse me. 2021, 2022, and 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we won it in 2023.
So I think England.
So you won it in 2022.
Did we? I thought it was 2023.
India won it in 2024.
Yeah. I think England
it was
held
a 50 over one in
2023.
2023. But the point stands that you can't actually remember what years they were all in.
Exactly.
I mean, it's ridiculous. There was
hang on.
The best one is
there was one
Pakistan
in 2009.
Won? Yeah.
And in 2010.
Pakistan won one, and they barely. I don't even know if they held the trophy for
9
a year.
months.
Yeah.
That was here, though, wasn't it?
They won it here, and then England went and won it in the West Indies. Do you remember?
Yeah, the following year.
I would say, though, for someone like Phil Salt, you have to think about the age. So he's 29. So if you think about it, if you grew up in the UK and you're his age, he would have had T20 around pretty much from the age of 7 or 8. So when you're starting to notice things, so he's going to take it think about it much differently than other people are at that point. And so I think there's a growing amount of younger players who are coming into the game who are like, why would I not take this seriously? So it's great for Virat Kohli to say that winning the IPL isn't worth, winning a test match and everything else. That next generation isn't feeling that same way. And that's fine, because that's what happened with ODI cricket, right? Like, if you go back and you talk to the players from the 80s and 90s about ODI cricket, they laugh at you. They were like, we didn't take it seriously. Like, I'll say to them, you tried this, and did we? I don't remember. They didn't remember anything.
In that time, they just thought it was like, it was a bit of a stag trip, 3 games around the
There was
country
another thing as well. The schedule was absolutely batty. I remember reading Wasim Akram's book a couple of years ago, and he actually is one of the few cricketers that actually bothers talking about the cricket. And he goes through every single tournament that he plays for Pakistan, and in a 10-year period, you think there's a lot of PCB chairmen and PCB changes in selection and PCB and Pakistani captains in that time. You try and remember all the different tournaments that he played 50 over cricket in. It was off the scale.
That was when India played Pakistan, wasn't it? That was when India
played everyone.
It would have been the whole Sharjah.
Yeah, the whole Sharjah.
Kenya, lots of Kenya games
England,
as well.
England, England were a lot in I think England won a tournament out in Sharjah, didn't they? When Adam Holyoke was captain, I think that was 2000. So there was a lot of tournaments in that part of the world when India did play Pakistan. So there's a lot more.
The other thing that we have to factor in is the IPL. Now, in 50 over cricket, the pinnacle is the 50 over World Cup. I would say that the pinnacle cricket in 2020 cricket is the IPL.
Certainly, if they're going to play a World Cup every 2 years, it is.
Or 3 and 3.
And is that where if we don't get?
And how has Phil Salt done?
He's done very well.
So he has immersed himself in the IPL, where he's been very successful, and he's been in India playing in front of capacity crowds with, it's as uber professional as you can get, with the highest quality that you can get, and that seems like it's made a massive difference to his mindset, as well as the fact he's grown up in that era and he's making a very handsome living. He probably plays, in fact, he almost certainly does play more for his IPL team than he does for England.
Yeah, and I think he's channeled his thoughts now away from 50 over cricket into T20 cricket, and but he's all his eggs in one basket as the covers are coming more and more on. The big covers coming on over the top of the Hessian sheet. I just wonder, you mentioned the IPL, and you both have an opinion on this, but when if the 100 goes to T20, all of a sudden, is that going to be better for English cricketers, better for English players? And Phil Salt is probably the prime example that now he is fully focused and channeled himself into a T20 player. Then all of a sudden you can see the difference that one format does make. And I'm just wondering if a memo to this, the people who run this country, is that that 100 format is probably not suiting some of our players when it comes to their chances not of playing for England but performing for England in T20 cricket, because it is a different type of cricket.
Yeah,
players have said that.
I get that, but I think if you look at all the players that won the 2019 World Cup, they all grew up playing 40 over cricket as well, right? And I do think that there's actually an advantage to having a competition that sort of heightens T20 cricket before it. I thought a lot of those guys developed.
I wouldn't say they played 40 over cricket. I think
they did.
No, I wouldn't.
They played Pro 40
in England. No, Pro 40 was long gone before.
Nope.
When was Pro 40? Pro 40 would have been. I tell you,
who won the World Cup? Give me some of the names of the players, and I'll tell you whether they played Pro 40 cricket or not.
The likes of Ben Stokes wouldn't have. Ben Stokes would have played a minimal amount of Pro 40 cricket.
Yep.
Minimal amount of 40 over cricket.
Joss Butler, Owen Morgan, Jason Roy.
I wouldn't say they played a lot of 40 over cricket.
I've written an article on it. They played a ton of. They played like 4 or 5 seasons.
4 or 5 seasons. When did? Yeah. I reckon a Pro 40. Well, Durham won the 2013.
Those guys are old, remember?
Yeah, but Durham won the 2013, 50 over competition at Lords, because I remember, because I was still on the staff at Durham at the time.
There was Pro 40 and T20 and one day cricket at the same time. Don't forget, there was actually both of those. Both of those go together. So I'm trying to find it here because it comes back and it disappears and everything else. But Pro 40 cricket it's later than you think. And I've written about it quite a bit. So a lot of those players actually did play in it.
When was the last year of Pro 40 cricket?
Oh, no, I can't work this out because this is the wrong website I've looked at. But I've done the piece before. There's a lot of those guys had incredible numbers in Pro 40 cricket and played a lot of it when they were coming through. So I don't mind the different format.
2009. So Scott's just said to me the last year of Pro 40 cricket was 2009. Ben Stokes made his first-class debut in 2010.
I don't think Stokes and Root might have played in it. Root might have played 1 year.
Root didn't make his debut until probably 2010, because I played for Yorkshire in 2011 or 2012, and Root was 18 at the time.
I think Root might have played some games.
Morgan might have played.
No, Morgan definitely played.
I think I played against Morgan in a Pro 40 game.
I'm telling you, Morgan played, Roy played, Butler played, Moeen Ali played. I think Dawood Milan played. A lot of those guys from that generation played Pro 40 and went on to be very important for England in that next generation.
Joe Root made his debut in a Pro 40 game.
Yeah, so there you go. So I'm not as worried
63.
about. Yeah, so I'm not as worried about that, Harmy, because I kind of like the idea of that. But eventually, it's just going to be a T20 competition anyway, isn't it? Because it's just wrong.
Yeah, and I think that's I'm watching Phil Salt hit 90-metre sixes, and I just think he is. I think since that West Indies trip when he got hundreds in the T20, and he got found out a little bit in the 50 over competition when the ball was getting sort of pushed back onto off stump. I think from that he's just gone, right, I'm going to be the best T20 player I possibly can be, and he's got everything else out of his mind, and he's become a phenomenal T20 player. He is a phenomenal T20 player. Bear in mind, when England were looking at the replacement for Joss Butler as a Test wicketkeeper, Phil Salt's name was on that list. England, the hierarchy in England, were thinking heavily about Phil Salt being England's Test wicketkeeper. And I think in the 50 over contest, I think they're seeing that there is a technical flaw in the longer format of the game, which possibly means Salt is not the answer to play Test match cricket. Or even, he did have a good 50 over, decent 50 over record. But I think the point I'm trying to make is he's channeled it straight into T20 cricket. And IPLs and in the Blast, he has been a huge force, and I think that's propelled him into what he is now for England in England's T20 side. And he's one of the reasons why I think he's got a chance of getting us off to so many good starts in the subcontinent when we go to the World Cup in Sri Lanka.
Can I just give you an idea? That final year of Pro 40, Johnny Bairstow played 8 games, Moeen Ali played 8 games, Liam Plunkett played 8 games, and Ben Stokes did play a game.
I was pretty sure.
Joe Root.
I'm pretty sure when I went through the 2019 team, a lot of them had played. A lot of them played lots of seasons of it as well. And I think when you talk to the players, they talk about it as something important. Anyway, Phil Salt, do we know how many T20 games he's played?
Across all format, across
everything.
Give me a second, I'll find out.
Well, I can tell you.
Go on then.
He's played 300.
To get a cap.
So he's played about 40 or 50 of those in the IPL. He's played about 40 or 50 of those, I think, in international level. So 100 top level games.
Just about this is his 50th.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's why we're talking about it. So he's played about 100 at the top level and then another 200 everywhere else. Once you've played that many games, it's hard to not take it seriously, isn't it? Like at a certain point. So last year, we're talking about him playing 50 games for England. Last year, he played 52 games of T20 cricket. This year, he's on 44, so he might go past that. The year before, it was 49. Like, he's played so many games that, of course...
And at a high level.
Yeah, and of course...
And at the top of the order.
Yeah, so he's going to take it very,
hiding,
very seriously. You're looking at this is his 4th year in a row where he's made more than 1,000 runs in T20 cricket in a year. Now, what did they used to say about county cricket? If you can make 1,000 runs in county cricket, you're having a good year. He's doing that in T20 cricket, right? So, for him, it's a very important thing. I think there's some interesting parts to his game. He's a brilliant starter, like in that first over. He might be after Luke Ronke retired, and we're talking about New Zealand games, so we can bring up Luke Ronke here. But after Luke Ronke retired, I'm not sure there's a better player in the first 6 balls in the world. So the impact that he has, and I've talked to bowlers going up against him of like, they have to get the ball right to him straight away, which is not the case for some other batters around the world. They give you 1 or 2. For Phil Salt, if you don't get that first ball right, it goes for 6. Like, he hits more first ball 6s than I think anyone has ever hit before.